Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Cultivate a Positive Ego. So it's interesting to say positive ego, because in terms of Advaita Vedanta, ego is not exactly a good thing in a sense. But how do you say, maybe in my perspective, it's not necessarily that it's good or bad. It is what it is. And just understand it, yeah, understand it so that it doesn't harm you, doesn't hurt you. Obviously, we we are not going to say tied to our ego, but we are associated with our ego very strongly because we are never taught otherwise. So we are heavily associated with it. And with that in mind, in my opinion, why not? I mean, again, accepting it for what it is, in my opinion, fine. It's not to say that you become you. It's not to say that you are the ego, though, but to understand that there's a, how do I say it? The ego, it does exist in terms of the in terms of Maya. Sorry, this is getting a little bit complicated, but you're obviously not the ego. You're a Brahman Atman. But in terms of the fact that you associate it with ego so much because of how we lived our life and never told otherwise, that it's kind of hard to disassociate with it. And for me, um, I guess this is merely my path and how I see it. Then I understand that. Therefore, I can still then accept the ego for what it is, just a falsehood of me. But it is the action part of me. So this really goes really well with karma yoga because it is fully embracing, perhaps embracing ego, because that is karma, your actions and your thoughts, which is very much essentially pure ego. Karma is pure ego. So when you start to accept the ego portion, which is, I do believe, karma based, and then you start doing good karma, or making sure that your ego is doing good things, example, good karma, then again, that's one way of enlightenment. So, and again, this is what I believe Swami Sarvapriyananda has says, is that we're a little bit of all the four. We're a little bit of karma, bhakti, jnana, and Raja Yoga. Well, I'm not Raja for sure. I severely like that one. But that's not to say that I don't ever get into it. I unintentionally get into that mindset. Not similar to meditations where your mind just blanks out sometimes, and you're just like, it's like a state that you want to be when you're meditating, in a sense. And I get into that accidentally by just staring off in a distance. Again, it's not like I control it or actively say, let me get in that state. No, it just happens sometimes. I'm like, hmm, that was weird. Anyways, so we're a little bit of all of it. Some of them more than others, and depending on which way you choose, which path you choose. But do understand that you're still a little bit of everything. So that means you're still taking accountability for your ego, which is your karma, which I believe it to be that. Bhakti yoga, which is your devotion, which whatever you happen to worship. Mine is, generally speaking, the not worshiping people per se, but just understanding that, I would say, we are all essentially the same. So you could look at it as like we're all Brahmin, which therefore we are all gods. Or not gods, but we are all the one consciousness. Anyways, going way off tangent, let's hear what he has to say on this one.
Ego. Let's talk about the ego. When I was growing up and I was very interested in spirituality my whole life, the only thing I ever heard about the ego is that the ego is bad and you need to get rid of it. And if you want to be a spiritual person, then you should really not have an ego. It wasn't until I went to the monastery and I met my guru that he gave me a different perspective on the ego. He looked at the ego as a personality, and we all have a personality. Some personalities are more evolved and others are less evolved. But as long as we have preferences, we have a name, we have likes and we have dislikes, we have an ego, and that person, we have a personality, and that personality is our ego. So he shared with me the perspective to take on the ego, which is to not to get rid of the ego, but rather to cultivate a positive ego, a positive personality. So to be someone who's kind, someone who can express empathy and compassion and love, to be an uplifting human being, to be someone who's seeking solutions, who treats everybody equally, that is a positive ego. So the goal on the spiritual path, at least from the philosophy that I subscribe to, is not to get rid of the ego, but rather to cultivate a positive ego. So this is something that you resonate with, then this is something I encourage you to do. From now on, rather than thinking about getting rid of the ego, think about cultivating a positive ego. How can I be a better version of myself, to be a little bit more humble, to be a little bit more kind, to be a little bit more gentle in my speech, in my thinking, and how I interact with people, to just be a better human where my behavioral patterns, my speech patterns, my thinking patterns results in upliftment for not only myself, but for everyone around me.
Exactly. So, I don't know if be truthful to me in the comments. Is have you ever associated things with the yogas? Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, and jnana yoga. Obviously, we think karma yoga is your actions and thoughts, but you ever thought about it being maybe associated with your ego? I've never really heard anyone say that. Well, clearly he didn't say this right here, but he did a little bit in terms of, you notice he point out certain actions, positive ego. So now I'm thinking, now I don't know if this has been stated anywhere else, let me know, but have you ever thought about the ego being karma yoga? Because the ego only can ever perform actions and thoughts, emotions. So, ego, karma yoga. Devotion basically is bhakti yoga. Jnana yoga, knowledge of what you are not. And Raja yoga, meditation to get to that blankness. It's really weird to say. Just don't think of anything. Don't use your mind. It's really weird to say that because we've been raised in this world to always think before you act, and this one say, don't think at all. Mm-mm. It's kind of funny. It's just kind of how it's just complete opposite of what we've been trained for in our lives. Obviously, when you're living in this Maya world, um, I don't like to think about it. I don't like to think about it as a false world at all. I like to think about it as a reality, something real. And I think, again, even Swami Vivekananda has said that too. I believe it's been a minute. But anyways, I like to believe that this world is real, and even though we are not, our true selves aren't this, that we are pure consciousness, this this ego is what makes us unique in a sense. So if I should do another YouTube video of kind of my thoughts on the ego and the and Brahman, because Brahman Atman, all it is just pure consciousness, awareness. That's all. It doesn't formulate actions. It doesn't do any of those things, which is fine. To me, there's nothing wrong with taking actions, taking responsibility for your actions, though. And again, it's not to say that in Advaita Vedanta you take no responsibility. Not all. You actually do 100%. Even though there's this separation. There's this ego and flesh and body, meat bag, and then there's the true you, which is just pure consciousness and awareness. It's not to say that you don't take responsibility for actions. You very much do so. You still act on that body. The problem is that your true self cannot act on that body. The body. The ego does. The ego is in full control of the body. So, so when you say you still take action, you're still saying that you're talking about the ego in control. Your true self, Brahman Atman itself, has no control over the body, has no control over the ego. It just makes the ego aware. That's all. It's really weird to kind of think about it like that. At least for me. Again, I'm mostly thinking out loud. It's like, that's really kind of weird. It's like the Brahman Atman has no ability to perform any actions, has no memory, has no thoughts. It is just pure awareness. and the sheer fact that the ego itself is what and you could say in some sense makes us alive, because it is who we are. I'm quoting a lot because you have to understand the disconnect there, but at the same time it just looks like it's connected. Again, the duality of thoughts and the duality of the situation that we're in, that there's Brahman, our true self, and then there's the ego, the duality of those two, thinking they're separate. It's very complicated. But the uncomplicated thing aside, is just regardless of what the truth is, um, enlightenment is the ultimate goal. You can sit here and think about who are you, what you are, and all of these things. And again, this is mostly my thoughts in that, is that you could be just reading all these books, doing all this meditation, or you could accept the fact for what it is. It's very similar to Bhakti Yoga. What my philosophy is that, in terms of, at least as far as I know, Bhakti Yoga, it says, do your best, be kind, be generous, be peaceful, be, good things, and let God handle the rest. So just do your best ability on everything, and God will handle the rest. It's kind of like that, the philosophy that I have. Am I the ego? Maybe. Do we have 50 billion egos, individual egos? Maybe. I don't know. Do we have one ego? Probably. I have no idea. Or, I meant consciousness, sorry. Is there 50 billion Brahmins, or is there, or one Brahman Atman, one pure consciousness? I don't know. I feel like I have my own consciousness. My consciousness is not linked to yours, or there's not one consciousness that it's able to see. I don't know. So I just accept that for the fact. I probably never know. And when you accept that, you tend to worry less. When you start accepting things that you cannot, again, like, this is my philosophy, is that you cannot change, or that's maybe you can't know right now, or that no matter what research you do, you can't really find. It's just to say, well, I don't know it. Move on with life. Instead of sitting there like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out now. Kind of like the person that a while back that talked to Acharya Prashant, where he was so worried with Acharya saying, I need to get enlightened now. I need to quit my job and become enlightened. And it's like, he's doing it wrong. When you're so focused and so worried about something, I doubt that you'll get enlightenment by struggling. I think, again, my opinion. I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't doubt there are some people out there who struggle and look at the books and have become enlightened. But I have a feeling most people, it happens naturally by following the books, by going through the days, by not rushing it, by not trying to cram it down your throat, by just pacing yourself through it and enjoying life. I think that's probably where majority of people fall into in terms of enlightenment. That's kind of the philosophy I kind of go with again too. It's the fact that I'm not rushing into anything. If I gain it, I gain it. If I don't, I don't. It is what it is. I live through life. I worry less in life. I enjoy life a lot more, and I'm not worried so much. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm not enlightened yet. It's like, if I am, I am. If I'm not, I'm not. I don't know what the feeling of enlightenment is, so if I am, then I don't know when it happened. If I have it, then, well, guess what? It clearly didn't happen. Anyways, that's my reaction to cultivating the positive ego, which is really strange. Which, okay, finally he did say the fact that, is something that even he was taught that is a negative outcome, which is what I've also heard, but I never look at it that way, because this ego is, in a sense, who we are. I'm going over again, but in a sense, who we are, how we cultivate ourselves, our personalities, and everything, like you said, and we can make our ego very positive in this life, and this is the only thing that you have control over, because you don't have control over Atman Brahman. Atman Brahman is just pure consciousness, awareness, bliss. It has no memory, no control, no power, in a sense. If you understand what I'm saying. Anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the stand down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.